Now, during the Heian period, Japan, as such, was not at war with any other organized state. Certainly, they were at war with the Emishi. They had just finished incorporating the Hayato of southern Kyushu into the realm of, well, ruled by the imperial family. But despite this kind of ongoing process of expansion, they never fought a war with China. They never fought a war with Korea or any other state on the continent. Nevertheless, they certainly fought wars with each other. These early samurai did. The wars that they fought with each other during the Heian period were very influential in altering the shape of Japanese history. First of all, the power base of the Fujiwara and of the imperial court in general eroded. Number two, the second most important result is that several elite samurai families, great clans, rose and became political forces. Number three, you had the rise of two clans in particular, the Minamoto, also called the Genji, and the Taira, also called the Heike clans. And the reason you have different spellings, or I'm sorry, different ways of pronouncing these clans, is that Japanese characters are read, can be read any number of different ways, or I'm sorry, they can be read any number of different ways in compounds, but they have two main readings, what's called a Chinese reading and what's called a Japanese reading. The Chinese writing system was adapted to the existing Japanese language, and some Chinese sounds were brought along with it. Well, basically that's a long way of explaining that the Minamoto and the Genji, they're written the same way, they're just pronounced differently. Same with the Taira and the Heike. And the fourth overall result was that you had the establishment of a Taira hegemony in the capital of Kyoto by 1060. The Taira, once again one of these two major clans, was the first samurai clan excuse me, in Japanese history that put together anything like a warrior government. We shall see that the way that they did it combined new and old influences, and it didn't really last, but it opened the door for real sustained samurai power to take hold in Japan after 1192 with the creation of the Kamakura Bakufu, which is basically a Japanese word for tent government, which was ruled over by a shogun, this military government. And it all began with the decline of aristocratic power. So what were some of these wars during the Heian period? Well, as we have already seen, the war of expansion against the Emishi and against the Hayato in Kyushu. That was these pacification campaigns were really complete by the 12th century. But it took a while to get there, as we've seen. The 38 Years' War, this is during the Nara period, but this is that earlier attempt to push into Emishi territory with huge Japanese armies getting cut up and not really accomplishing very much other than the ability to claim, yeah, we went in there and pacified a lot of Emishi. This area, however, was, by this area I mean all of the east of Japan, was coming under the control of the imperial court, but oftentimes this was indirect and very tenuous control. Samurai rebellions were constant during the Heian period, and some of them were very dangerous. These frontier soldiers often decided that they would go into business for themselves. Then the imperial family in Kyoto would send out a army to defeat them, which was basically an army of other samurai bands that kind of had the official blessing of the emperor to go and beat up on the first rebels. They get there, they beat up on the rebels, and sure enough, they themselves go into business for themselves. Loot the countryside, even set up breakaway states in some instances. A typical example, and actually a very, very interesting example, is that of Taira no Masakado. This is a modern interpretation of what he would have looked like. The reconstructions are fairly accurate as far as we can tell. Here is Taira no Masakado himself, and he is from a great samurai family, the Taira. Once again, also known as the Heike, and the Taira were actually descended from an emperor. They were descended from an emperor a long time ago, and this guy, Taira no Masakado, was a successful warrior who was based in Hitachi province, right here. And this is a place where you had imperial officials and you had imperial rule extended there, but in many ways it was still a newer area, and it was not fully under the control of the people in Kyoto. We see this because Masakado had a dispute with another local samurai, a very powerful man, and the local magistrate who had been sent out from Kyoto, the governor of Hitachi province, had ruled in favor of Masakado's opponent. So what does Masakado do? He bursts into the government house and kills this official, and then decides, well, you know, I got to do something. So he sets up in 935 a breakaway imperial state in the east. And he controls 5 provinces by the time that the imperial court in Kyoto really gets its act together and sends out an army to punish him. But he basically controlled the entire Kanto, or much of it, this area, some of the most productive land in Japan. You know, this guy just decided, I don't want to listen to anybody from Kyoto, I'm going to do what I'm going to do.